Subscribe to President. Subscribe to President Buttons for great academic content and perfect pass. It's difficult because it's not easy for them to speak up like us. You know, it's easy for me to come to my mom and say, you know what, mom, I'm not fine and whatnot. But with men, you see that, you know, we have a problem of absent fathers, or some fathers are present, but they are absent. So they make it difficult. Yes, presently absent. And they make it difficult for their sons to speak to them. You know, a son can't go to his father and say, you know what, Dad, I broke up with my girlfriend. I know she's just a girlfriend, but I gave her my heart. And I'm depressed. And it's unfortunate, and it breaks my heart to know that we lose some of these people, whereas something could have been done to prevent the situation.
Is there a person who is depressed? Is it a conscious state? Is someone aware when they're depressed, or they just go into the zone and it's only people from outside that can see, and only that person, after they've went through that episode, can see, I was depressed? Can they consciously see what I'm depressed?
So in my experience, it either comes to two ways, in two ways. Because, you know, as people, we're different. So somebody can have can be aware. Mara moka, like I'm not getting anywhere, and then the person over aware, you know what, something is not right with me, but because of those strong feelings, that helplessness, they succumb to the feeling, because it sort of like says to them, what's wrong, you won't get the help that you need. Yeah, that is why when we treat depression, it's a combination of therapy as well as antidepressants or some sort of medication. So you also get another group, when it hits them, they'll present with psychotic symptoms. And then once a person is psychotic, it's sometimes they can't even see.
I just think it's the new way of living, just do it. But you as an external person,
you are able to see something's wrong at this person, there's this change and whatnot. And then with most people, denial.
Makes sense.
It's not easy to come out and say, hey guys, I'm smiling, I'm with you and whatnot, but on the inside, there's something that's eating me. And then, you know, with depression, sometimes you don't even have to have a reason. You know, sometimes there are triggers, something can happen, and it can trigger you to be depressed and be diagnosed with major depressive disorder or whatever. But sometimes you just feel on the inside of you that, no man, I'm not.
It's a matter of sometimes you just get overwhelmed by schoolwork.
Anything.
You're not performing academically, and it becomes episodes that build up.
Yes, and before we even get to the episodes, it's you know, with mental disorders, we always look at genetics. They play a huge role. Yes, family history, biologically, the neurologically, how your mind is made up. So for an example, you and I can be hit by the same thing, like for an example, COVID-19. It hit us all, but we process it differently. And what contributes to how we process information has more to do with our genes and genetics, as well as biological stuff. Those are the things that we don't have control over, as well as our family history. And then you take that, you couple it with an external event like COVID-19, then the person just goes down and down and down and down.
If I needed a course on depression, this video is actually it. I think you can get to be exposed to literally the whole circle around
Yes.
how depression comes about, how you can identify things as an external person, and other indicators, as Success has just said, it's genetic. So also study even your family history.
Family history, it's very important. Even when you get married, eh?
Exactly,
You should know the family history of the person that you're getting married to. For the sake of your children and yada yada yada, you know.
Even as a funny joke, in primary there was a teacher, Mr. Mabena, who he said it as a joke, we laughed, but it always stuck in my mind. He said, don't be misled by that girl or boy you meet there, beautiful, all puffed up.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just go and don't talk a lot. Go to her family and just see how her grandmother looks like, the mother, the uncle.
Yeah.
And then she just happened to be favored by genes to come out. And then when you have kids one day, you're shocked why are my kids always depressed and all of that, but the mother is okay.
Family history.
Woo! Could be good bad.
Yeah, so we don't just get some of the things without doing proper check.
Because even as a funny one also, it's a primary, secondary, high school, girl will say no to, and get asked with it, you approach a girl will tell you, comrade, I'm busy, I'm thinking about my children here.
Yeah, I used to have that mindset. I used to have that mindset.
It's like, this guy will damage my jeans.
Those yellow boats, at least I know that children wise I'll be saying.
After watching this video decides, let me just check my family history and we find out there is that. How can that person deal with not getting to a state of depression? Is it something they can personally do on their own, or what should they do actually?
The secret is in two words. Self-care.
Sure.
Self-care.
Sure.
Self-care.
Yeah.
I cannot emphasize this. It's very important.
Sure.
We need to take care of ourselves.
Sure.
And number two, we need to be intentional about it.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be something, say, it just happens.
Sure.
In as much as you plan, December, people are making plans and whatnot. In as much as you plan,
Sure.
I'm going to do this and do this and do this, self-care needs to be part of your plan.
Sure.
Because, like we spoke about genes, one of the things that we speak about there's this lady, she was a psychologist, she used to be my mentor.
Sure.
She used to say something that suffering is inevitable,
Sure.
but pain is a choice. For as long as we live in this world, there are certain things we will never ever have control over.
Sure.
Things like trauma.
Sure.
You cannot control what's going to happen to you as you walk out of this gate.
Sure.
You cannot control what's going to happen to the people, your family that are surrounding you.
Sure.
There are certain things that will happen. They will take you by surprise.
Sure.
For an example, ladies with gender-based violence and whatnot, you can walk out and then you can be raped.
Sure.
You can experience something very traumatic, or a loved one who's really close to you, they can die.
Sure.
So, as humans, we live in a world where things like that will forever happen. And now we're not saying that you always have to live on the radar, because now that might trigger anxiety and you might not be able to function. But we need to live with an awareness that says that, there are certain things that I can never control.
Sure.
And number two, you need to be at peace with that fact. Which in cases of anxiety, it's almost common. People know. I remember once had a client, that guy had a fear, it was a phobia of dying. So much so that he would always monthly go to a doctor, check his head, check everything, because he had a fear of dying. If Hagale conclude, he would call. And he would literally have a panic attack over the phone.
Sure.
I couldn't sleep, this and this and this. So spirituality.
So this is where now we get into the practical tools, because
yes,
the tagline of the channel is home of tools.
Yes.
So these are practical things
tools
people need to be conscious of and need to actively practice.
Yes.
Okay.
Spirituality. You don't have to be a Buddhist, or you don't have to tend to be a monk or whatnot, but have something that you connect with.
Sure.
Spiritually.
Okay.
Because whether we like it or not, it has been proven, research proves that and on certain things, spirituality is very important for us as human beings, because at some point perceive but my power is limited. But when you have that sort of belief that there's something that transcends above what I can do, we are able to get through.
Sure.
Number 2, self-care. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
This includes simple basic things like watching how you eat. When you go to research and whatnot, even in depression, diet it's very important. That's why Hemoto Abilele, a major depressive episode. We don't just only target the psyche, we don't only just target the physiological body. We'll get dietitians, nutritionists involved, so that this person can eat they contribute good to your brains and whatnot. So people should just take care of yourself. Be intentional, be like, okay, Beke, I'm gonna be free of junk food. And just focus on eating healthy, exercising. Exercising is very, very much important. I cannot emphasize it. Benefits of exercise. That's proven facts.
So it shouldn't be just I want summer body.
No, that actually leads to depression, because you might not get the summer body. And it might be a hard knock. Because as people, whatever that we put our effort into, we expect the results. And then if you don't get the results, then, So it shouldn't be that thing, summer body and what. It should be a daily part of your life. I'm going to be intentional about exercising. I'm going to be intentional about eating healthy. I'm going to be intentional about sleeping well. I'm going to be intentional about keeping my environment toxic free. Because sometimes the people that we live with, they are very bad for us.
100%.
And then when a person is bad for you. So if it is within your power, make sure that you get out of that relationship. And then for some people, this one is very painful, because you get you can't wake up early in the morning and decide, I resign from this family. It cannot happen. So you need to train yourself in a way, whatever the toxic things that they say, they don't get to you. So what does that mean? It means that now as success, let's say for an example, my mother is very toxic, she doesn't have anything good to say about me. Mama mama, there's nothing good that I do in her eyes and whatnot. I can't change her. I can't change her. If she's like that, she's like that. Then it means I have to focus on my self-talk, positive self-talk. Look myself in the mirror and be like, Mara, 80%, like I got 80%, and 80% is very good. Then you know what, success? You are good at something. You are good at this. You are good at that. That positive self-talk, it sort of like protects you from the toxic words that you can get from people that you are, number one, able to cut off from your life, and people that you might have to bear living with for 5 years until you get your own food and whatnot. So we need to be intentional about taking care of ourselves. The last thing, which is this emerging research around it is social media.
Sure.
Yeah. It is a lot of researchers, they are confirming it that we are actually becoming a depressed and anxious generation.
Sure.
Our young sisters, they are growing up into becoming depressed and anxious. And it is because of what? Social media. So if it's possible, that this is what I do. I am on social media, but I will decide, you know what, let me just take a 2 weeks break from Twitter. And when I'm going to log out, go Twitter for 2 weeks. I think you can manage that best because Twitter is like at the core of where everything is happening. But in all honesty, if we are going to be intentional about taking care of ourselves, making sure we matter before everything else, then we also need to be on the lookout of social media. Because those things, study likes and reactions and whatnot and whatnot.
Improve them every time. They add a heart, a smile, a laugh.
And laughter.
It has emotion now.
Emotions.
Not just a like and you're done.
So, picture how we be a it's not only just about likes and whatnot. It shows how people feel about you. And if you get more, I remember Nelly, she's a teenager. Her problem was she gets the thumbs, no hearts. Imagine a teenager worried about thumbs, no hearts. So even though social media, we love it, it's taking us far, it's leading us in 4IR and things like that, it is also very, very increasingly becoming dangerous for us. Because it's all about picture perfect.
Exactly.
It's a whole lot of pressure because some people are not keeping up. And it's bad, this morning I was thinking about it, I was like, oh my word, what's happening? Because we literally have the opportunity to update things about our life from WhatsApp. From WhatsApp statuses. You can't run away as you are already discouraged in the morning. So we need to be on the lookout for social media.
Especially if you're a person of public space. Your life I feel like it doesn't only belong to you. You need to learn to detach. Because for me personally, I do intentionally have times where I delete WhatsApp, I delete everything, I just have my phone. And I live life and it's hard the first 2-3 days, but you get used to it after a week.
And it's amazing. It's amazing. By the time you go back to those spaces, you are it's like you're a new person.
Exactly.
And you get to spend time with yourself. But always spending time on, I'm telling you, you're not going to survive.
And even on that point of self-care, I think whether you genetically are prone or you just went through episodes, I think we need to get into the habit of speaking to a professional, especially if at home you don't have someone to talk to or not lucky enough to have a mentor. I always recommend getting a mentor. Get into the habit of just seeing, especially campuses, a lot of campuses.
Yes, they have in-house psychologists, counselors, or there's the South African Depression Anxiety Group, free of charge. You can call them. We get calls from people who go 1 a.m. They can hook you up with other psychologists and you don't even have to pay. You just go there and you get the help that you need.
So when to start the conversation, you don't start it like writing an email and a letter. You say address 1, address 2. Literally say, hello, I'm not okay.
I need help.
Done.
Where I used to work somewhere, they can send SMSs and be like, help. And then when we get that message, we call them back. Or hi. Because for some people it's difficult. So you just send hi. And then from there, we'll take it from there. We'll guide you through everything. So speak up, guys. Talking therapy helps.
Since closing the book was not enough, I'm putting it away to show I am done.
Super done.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Chauke. I am fed. I am. This is the intention of the channel. It's being the home of tools, and the intention of having this interview to educate, to empower, to grow, to elevate, and so that people can see these things exist amongst us, and we need to learn and be conscious of them, and we grow from there.
Yeah, we do.
Thank
you.